Oh, you there, Chris? Oh, you got nothing.
Yeah, I muted it for a second because
okay.
I was going to be typing.
Oh, sorry about that. All right, welcome into the Tiger Mining Report here. Week 1 as we recap all the action across all 4 teams in the Tiger Mining system. I'm Rogelio. Concealing beside me is Chris Brown, and we'll be doing this every week. And we'll have at some point too. We'll be having a producer. Actually, there's an intern from the University of Michigan, Dearborn, will be joining us in May, and he is a big baseball guy, and I'm looking forward to having him on the podcast. And he'll be producing and hosting, and he's watches the system as much as we do. So, but for now, it's Chris and I, and Jake occasionally whenever he can hop on. So, coming up tonight, we'll be talking a lot of pitching debuts. We saw Dylan Smith, saw Madden, Ty Madden made his debut today. The West Michigan Whitecaps offense started off really well on Saturday, and it kept going. And a good evening to Hens highlights. And we'll be talking to some Toledo Mud Hens as well, and Lakeland Flying Tigers. And I wish, again, Chris, I said it once and I'll say it again, little camera would be good. I mean, just one camera would be nice down there.
Yeah, that would be ideal. You know, I still haven't looked around. We know that the Yes Network was down there for the first game on Friday because it was the debut of Tampa's manager, the first female manager of regular season baseball or whatever, of a full season team. And so they had that game, but I haven't. I wanted to find like a torrent or something like that, if possible, to try to get some video of our guys, but I haven't found it yet. So yeah, we just have to wait till they're in Bradenton to get some video of them.
Well, what's nice about the video they showed too was it was pretty much the quality you saw from the Yes Network. Which,
yeah, it was they basically kept the spring training cameras down there, I assume.
Yeah, and it looked fantastic, and so kudos for that to air that too, because it is very historical. And I wish all the cameras just have a professional quality across the minor leagues. I know that's sacrilegious to say that in certain cases, and I mean, right now we look at some of the crowds over the week. It was cold. Let's not face it. Today was the first nice day in Michigan. We've seen over 50 degrees in quite some time.
Yeah, today was very nice, actually. It was still a little bit chilly once the sun went down, but yeah, it's one of those things early in the year. You see the minor leaguers, you see them breathing, and you can see their breath. You see the pitchers blowing into their hands after every pitch. It's cold out there, and it's hard to tell, what pitching performances are a result of the temperature or, mistakes or whatever. But yeah, it hasn't looked great, particularly for the starters up at the big league level, but some good stuff going on in the minors for sure.
Yeah, and we'll start with Toledo, as we were down there for opening day, and we mentioned that during the post game show that it was cold, and just mentioned that again, kind of redundant, but still, the Mud Hens wise played a team with Rochester who started kind of heating up their bats a bit. As the Red Wings, we were kind of joking about this a little bit about how their talent stands, but as far as offense, kind of struggled. The Mud Hens offense struggled a little bit the last 2 games of the last 2 games of the series. Really, it was Friday and Saturday. Was it Friday and Saturday? And they were able to, for the most part, I think they split. I'm trying to remember if they split the series.
No, they won the opener, and then they won in a walk-off today. And in between, it was really ugly. They got smoked. Their offense was not good. There was a bullpen meltdown, I want to say, in the second or third game of the week. But, the Rochester was just piling it on. So the Mud Hens struck out 77 times in 6 games. One of those games went 12 innings, but still, that's 11 strikeouts a game. It was not great. Ryan Kreidler and Cody Clemens had decent starts. I think Kreidler went, hitting 320, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and Clemens 308 with double, triple, and homer, but he's only got 1 walk to 10 strikeouts. So it's another thing where early in the season, maybe guys just don't quite have their timing, or it's cold and it's hard to swing a bat when you're super cold. But yeah, it wasn't a pretty week on offense for the Mud Hens.
No, they combined for to go Saturday and Sunday 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position, something like the Tigers have struggled with, and mentioned that Cody Clemens and Ryan Kreidler are pretty much. Kreidler went 0 for 4 on Saturday, but he then ended up having a nice game today as he continues to. There's, I think, out of everybody, we continue to see this. We saw this last year with Torkelson Green. Call him up.
Mm-hmm.
And today he went 1 for 4. And
with a double. Yeah.
With a double. So you can take that. That works out pretty well. And Ray Palicelli got things going with the home run. And then Lester got the game-winning walk-off home run in the 9th. So in terms of contributors among the the more the prospect-wise, Clemens did play left field today. So that was a good sign. Go ahead, Chris.
They're moving everybody all over the place. I saw Willie Castro playing shortstop, Willie Castro playing center, Willie Castro played second, Zach Short playing all over the place. They're really getting guys time everywhere. And yeah, like you pointed out, 0 for 10 or whatever with runners in scoring position. They won today because they hit 2 solo home runs. It was funny. Lester's home run was the walk-off, and he walked. I think it was a 3-0 pitch or 3-1, and it was 4 or 5 inches off the plate, and the ump just called it a strike, and then he homered on the next pitch. You're like, well, all right, fine. But yeah, they've got a lot of talented guys on that team. There's a lot of guys with big league time. That's not unheard of in AAA, but I'm sure they'll pick it up down the road. And I don't know, the pitching staff. I don't know if we wanted to get into that yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Rodriguez, who pitched today for the second time in the series, 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. So he didn't strike out as many, but he was able to keep the ball in the ballpark.
Yeah, we were talking about it because he pitched the opener too, and we saw him last year too. I still can't quite figure out what's going on with Nivaldo Rodriguez. The fastball's like 90 to 93 tops, but he doesn't get hit hard. He hasn't given up a run in 2 starts, and he doesn't miss a ton of at-bats. Ton of bats. He does miss a ton of at-bats because he's a pitcher. He doesn't hit anymore. But yeah, he got a bunch of strikeouts in the first game, but not today, like you said. But still, I don't know. He was on the Astros 40-man for a reason. The Tigers put him on their 40-man last year for a reason. It's just one of those things that doesn't really jump out when you're watching the guy, at least not to me. But yeah, 2 starts without any earned runs. That's a good way to make a living. And then we also got to see Beau Briskey's first start at AAA, which is, I think, worth talking about. And anybody who wants to look at it, we clipped the whole thing and put it on the Tigers Minor League Report channel on YouTube, so you can watch all 5 innings. He's the only other guy on the team, aside from Nivaldo Rodriguez, who's thrown more than 3 2/3 innings. Because it's early on and starters don't get a lot of work, but they let him go. And, the numbers are kind of ugly. 5 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, 2 home runs in 5 innings. But I think that there are still a couple things to be encouraged about, and he still threw a lot of strikes. That's one of the things we pointed out in our preview of him. He really pounds the zone, and I actually think he got squeezed a couple times, and his defense let him down a couple times. That's going to happen in AAA, or it kind of happened in Detroit today too. You're not always going to have the best defense behind you, but his mistakes were kind of what we talked about in the breakdown we did. He gave up 2 home runs on fastballs that were too low. Basically, his fastball gets hit a little harder if he's not locating it up in the zone. And that's what happened there. And they went out because it's AAA and these guys don't miss mistakes. But otherwise, I thought he looked pretty good. His changeup was still good. And the breaking balls were better than what we saw in our breakdown, I thought. In the starts we were looking at our breakdown we looked at 2 from the beginning of last year and 1 from later in the season. And I thought the breaking ball later in the season looked better. And I thought it looked better than that today. Or not today, the other day. I still wouldn't call it good, or maybe even average, but I think it's improving, and it's a useful third pitch for him. So I don't know. I think he'll get better. It's AAA is tough.
Yeah, and one of those, there's a couple stat lines we'll get to in a second about that, because I think that people tend to forget that you can't judge the scout. Don't judge the scout line. Don't do that. Don't judge the box score, and it's something that any scout or anybody will tell you that you have to incorporate that as much as possible. And one of the things that I noticed about Briskey's start was, we mentioned it correctly, Chris, the strikeouts. It was, or no, excuse me, the strikeouts, but the off-speed stuff. It had more snap to it. It was gave some more downward action than before, where it was a curveball that kind of was a get me over curveball. Mm-hmm. But there was one thing about his fastball he's still able to do. He's still able to elevate it and set it up well. And that's something that a lot of the batters were swinging right through his fastball, which is a good sign. And I wish some of the advanced stats right now, minor league splits is not working. So everything's kind of up.
Oh, I haven't checked.
Yeah, I checked. I was checking early because I was trying to see his swing and strike rate, swing strike whiff rate, and I was trying to find something like that because that's always a good indicator. Because Rochester ended up warming up their bats eventually, but there's one stat line of all the pitchers I want to talk about. But Chris, go ahead. I'll let you.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, we could play the video.
Yeah,
out the swings and strikes, swing and strikes if we want. The only other I think noteworthy outing down there was Michael Pineda, who who was kind of laughably efficient. In 3 innings, I think he gave up 1 hit, 1 strikeout, 33 pitches in 3 innings because he's just enormous. He's a big refrigerator on the mound, and he'll get a couple more starts, but he'll come join the Tigers rotation soon enough. It wasn't there wasn't a whole lot to take out of that. He was throwing the ball where he wanted to, and people weren't hitting it hard. So, yeah. And then I don't even know who. I liked Ricardo Pinto's outing, but we can talk about that later down the road when if and when he ever has to get called up.
So we have the Briskey outing. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we have the Briskey outing up right here. The line I wanted to talk to you about that I did not expect was the line of Drew Carlton. 3 innings, 9 strikeouts. He struck out 5 today, and he was. I think we saw him. I believe it was opening. Was it opening day or maybe? I mean, it was opening day. Yeah, because he came in for opening day, and he looked pretty good too. And so we first thought, well, it's just the cold, blah blah blah. But then today, coming out with 5 strikeouts, I didn't get a chance to see some of the velocity. So I'll be interested to see him again. This is a guy who was on the 40-man last year, back off of it. But for all the bullpen woes the Tigers are going to perhaps experience, it is good to see him start off the season like that. Just 3 innings and 9 strikeouts. It's impressive.
Yeah, he's a guy that he's always had great numbers in the minors. And we even had a whole big discussion like a month ago about supposedly he had changed his delivery in some way or, trying to get his arm. But we always thought he was just kind of smoke and mirrors. It's a low 90s fastball and kind of did it by a sort of small or sidearm. But if he's going to go down, if he's going to be in AAA and he's going to produce, then he's going to give himself a chance. So that was good to see.
Yeah, and this was like I said, just ignoring the stat line here with Briskey. I thought he did a really good job of commanding and mixing. There was a good pitch right there too, and just locating because the strike zone this weekend was kind of like that should have been a strike right there.
I thought so too. Yeah, there's one where he walks. It was definitely a strike, or he walks a guy. But I was going to point out Beau Briskey's first start of last year. I remember texting everybody. I was like, "Look at this bum." His first start last year, he went 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 home run, 1 hit batter, 2 strikeouts. That was in West Michigan. And then let's see, he had a 6. Like 3 starts later, he gave up 6 earned runs, and that was and then he was basically good for the rest of the year. So yeah, it's like you said, don't judge the stat line too much. That's why we put these videos for you guys so you can see, because sometimes it works both ways. Sometimes a guy strikes out like 10 guys, and it's really just nothing special. It's just one of those days where the team was out late partying or something.
Or what is it? I always remember there were stories about when anytime people go play the Lakers.
Yeah.
Doing the traveling and partying in LA, and that curve wasn't exactly popping over there, but still, nevertheless, it was good to see that. And there was somebody on Twitter who was like, well, "Why would you post a start?" Because look beyond the stat line.
Someone said, "Why would you post the start? Why?"
Yeah, like something like, "Oh, there's nothing. You didn't have a good start." Well, did you watch it?
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? These are prospects. See, there's a big bomb. And yeah, that was a fastball that was kind of right down low in the zone. And you could see it here. It's right down the pipe.
Yeah.
So that's his fastball can't play there. Not many guys can really.
Yeah. Oh, there's a nice pitch.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the slower curve that he's able to drop in every now and then he's got a couple shorter, like that's a slider right there that I thought was a strikeout, but yeah, it was like I said, anybody can have an outing where they give up 2 home runs and it looks awful, but he really only gave up 3 hard hit balls. 2 of them just happened to go over the fence. The rest of it was weak contact, and you see the defense kind of letting them down occasionally. I think that one was ruled an error, and I want to say that they ended up scoring a run on a sac fly, maybe.
Yeah, but, I believe maybe there was a sac fly on that, but either way.
Yeah, Dan.
Dan Griffin, good old Dan Griffin there. Hey, Dan, good to hear from you. And his comment on Facebook was, my start for the big club yesterday is a great example. One bad pitch and a dominant start on the other side made Mize not look so good. When he pitched pretty well. Well, I would agree with Dan on that. I think that
it wasn't Mize at his best, but yeah, he pitched fine. It was, sometimes you make a mistake and it's very poorly timed. Other times, Justin Verlander kind of, his changeup still works at AAA. Justin Verlander kind of made a career out of, or at least with the Astros.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I like how you're getting upset at the video. Well, and that's another reason why we post these videos, so you can see, like, hey, like look at that pitch. That wasn't a strike. You missed that.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Here it is.
How's that? What the? Seriously, what the fuck? Sorry.
I guess it's an inch low, but
what the F?
So that just, and so you see some of what happens. But
yeah,
as I was saying, Verlander made a habit of his mistakes only coming with nobody on base. So he gave up like 35 home runs and only 70 earned runs of the season or something like that. But in any event, so that was Briskey's start. I think, there's some positive things to take away from that. And it was his first start in AAA. He only had 8 in AA. So there's going to be some growing pains there, I think.
But I mean, the only person that really, in terms of bad appearances this weekend, Alex Powers, who the Tigers signed as the minor league free agent not too long ago, got lit up. You talked about the bullpen the other night on Saturday night where he lost 9-0. Alex Powers went out there. He's kind of a veteran anyway, so it's not really. Yeah, I'm not trying to dispute. I'm not trying to disparage it. You know what I mean? But
yeah, and I think Del Pozo got hit up pretty hard, but the reason he was removed from the 40-man. I don't know if we want to move to Erie.
Yes, let's move to Erie. And in terms of speaking of good pitching performances, and this is something that I've had a spirited debate with a friend of the show, Mark, about this, and so I understand what he was saying, and we'll get to that in a second. But today, you got to. I mean, let's give credit to the Erie offense. I mean, their lack of thereof, but at the same time, they were able to take on the best of the Cleveland pitching system in terms of prospects. They faced a darn gauntlet, Chris. This was a gauntlet in terms of even just power pitching in some of the best pitching systems overall, which, by the way, I forgot to mention that Zach Houston, who was in AAA, got sent down to AA. So that was a move that was made beforehand. But let's look at who Erie faces this weekend. Let's start with Friday's game. I'll start with Friday's game. I should start.
Logan Allen?
Yeah, Logan Allen. Logan Allen is a top 100. He's a top 100 prospect, right?
I don't know if he's not a top 100 of Baseball America, but he was a second round draft pick, and he might be top 100 somewhere. He's certainly a notable prospect, probably a future big leaguer.
So the Seawolves were able to only get 5 hits, but they were enough as Reese Olson took on Logan Allen, and Allen carved up the Seawolves to the tune of 9 strikeouts, but he did allow 4 of those 5 hits, 2 runs, and those runs came off a homer by Dave Myers in the 5th inning, and then was Cabrera scoring on a double. After he doubled, then it was Quincy Nieport,
which apparently it's a Nieporty, which I was not expecting. Normally that E is silent, but
Nieporty, yeah. So Nieporty drove him in. It was one that gave him the other run, and Gage Workman started off the weekend badly, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little later. But Reese Olson, good solid outing, 4 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. And you can tell it's kind of a pitching count because it's early in the season. And I believe, I also have his highlights here too. So the reason why we wanted to talk about Reese Olson is because the fact that there is that the Tigers got him from Milwaukee, and there's kind of like this. He does have some sort of reliever risk, but honestly, Chris, I thought he pitched really well this weekend. I thought that he was able to keep, in terms of keeping, he kept batters off balance, and I did a good job of changing eye level.
Yeah, I mean, I think Reese Olson has pretty good stuff across the board. I think the fastball is a plus offering for him with movement. I think the changeup is a plus pitch. I think the breaking balls are above average. And Baseball America has this AA Akron team as one of the 10 most loaded minor league teams in baseball. And it's not just the pitching. They've also got George Valera and Brian Rogelio, who are top 100 prospects. They've got Beau Naylor, who's a potential big leaguer. So, yeah, I mean, I think the main thing that always stuck out with, and we went and saw Reese Olson's first start with West Michigan last year. And it's the same thing that we saw before. His delivery just is not typical of a starter. It's kind of got that weird hesitation and slingshot action to it. But you'll see some pretty nasty secondary pitches and a few bat missing fastballs later.
Yeah, and that's always an indication at AA, if you can start missing bats with your fastball, of how good your stuff is. So both Toledo and Erie had, that's a nice pitch right there. Both Erie and Toledo, by the way, had some shaky. This, like, when I was trying to cut the video, it was kind of all over the place. But
sometimes the Erie microphone goes into like mosquito vision, where it's just like zzz, I'm like, here. And I remember a couple years ago it was LSD night at the park. Remember where? It was,
There's a fastball hung up there, but still got an output for it. But either way, I thought that in the way he is, let's see if it's that kind of downward action to it.
Yeah, some really nice dive to his changeup. Like I think I could. I made the comparison.
He was aiming for that one there.
I made the comparison to possibly to Alex Lang, where he's a guy who might be really good out of the bullpen, because the fastball, it's got plenty of velocity, but like Alex Lang, it's probably going to be like the least of his pitches. It just doesn't miss a ton of at bats. He can miss bats with it.
There's a good pitch there.
Yeah, but his secondaries are good, and so if you get him out of the bullpen for an inning or possibly two, and he's throwing, sitting 95 to 97 instead of 91, 95. I think you might have something there, but might as well keep him starting until he proves he can't do it anymore, Yeah. And that was a great first start. I think he only made 4 starts at AA last year and had 1 decent one. The rest of them, he was having trouble throwing strikes. But so this is progress, and that's all we really want to see, right? A little bit improvement.
That's exactly it. And Chance Kirby, by the way, came out there through 3 innings of scoreless relief, allowed 1 hit, struck out 2. And Yaya Shadoof, which is a big James Shipman fan, went out there and got the save, and he had punched out 3.
Yeah, and I you'll see it up there tonight or tomorrow. I put together Garrett Hill's first start, which actually I thought was really impressive too. Garrett Hill's 26, kind of a fringe prospect. He's in the back of some prospect lists, but he's a guy who really locates his fastball well. Showed some decent breaking balls, and he's got a really nice changeup that they were actually saying that he might have been working on a splitter. I don't know how much to believe that, but a couple of them have pretty good split action. So he went 4 innings. Only hit he gave up was a bunt single, and struck out 6 and walked 2. So yeah, some decent arms there. Good depth if nothing else. And you talked about like the hitters. It's only 3 games, but Erie went 2-1, and you mentioned Logan Allen. They also got Daniel Espino, who might be the nastiest pitcher in the minors, and then they got Tanner Burns, who was a supplemental first rounder, I think, from Auburn.
Yep, that's right.
So yeah, some ugly numbers this year so far. Eric De La Rosa was just 2 for 12 with 7 strikeouts. Gage Workman is 1 for 12 with 7 strikeouts and a home run. And his home run was an absolute bomb, like a rainmaker off Espino. So. And we figured something like this would happen with Workman. This is a challenging assignment for him. He struck out a lot last year anyway in the lower minors, but he improved quite a bit after his first month at West Michigan. So hopefully he'll make an adjustment here too. Daniel Cabrera was just 3 for 12 with 5 strikeouts, and he's still basically swinging over every breaking ball. I don't know if that's going to work in the future. Hopefully he can make some adjustments, but that seems to be a problem for him. And it's been a problem since college. I thought that he might be able to improve, but not so much yet. And then today's starter was Austin Bergner. He went 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. I think we're going to take a look at him, maybe doing one of our breakdowns, because he's a guy who's been speaking on to some prospect lists. So
yeah, because I'm interested in seeing a little more what he can offer, and it's kind of a newer name. One name that was mentioned that was on Twitter, I think it was that Mark Kurosh mentioned, and I have been a fan of Chavis Fernandez, who made an appearance today. Came in he pitched really good. He pitched, I think, was it a third of an inning in Lakeland during spring training. He was in the Arizona Fall League.
I think he came from one of those instances where like the state had to pull a starter, and so they have like a set number of pitchers they want to pitch, and if that doesn't go right, they bring somebody like an emergency pitcher. And he came in, it was like, I want to say he threw 1 pitch or 3 pitches or something like that and got out of it.
Yeah, I think they had 2 runners on or 3 runners on. I can't remember the context of the situation, but either way, that's a guy who I honestly could see him in the Tigers bullpen by the end of the year if the injuries keep piling up, because he is a guy that was kind of a relief. He was a swingman last year, but now is going towards late relief. And so depending on what happens on the injury side of things, Dylan Dingler got a home run today. So that was an encouraging sign. And I know this was kind of a strange thing to notice, but too, Kerry Carpenter, that was one of the few Erie Seawolves did not strike out this weekend quite a bit. He actually was able to get on base.
He hit a home run in a game. I think he hit a double. He looked pretty good. He's one of those guys we don't really know what to make of, because they jumped him right to Double-A, and it felt like kind of out of need. And in a hot May last year, that they started the season in May, and then it just was kind of average for the rest of the season. And I don't know. I don't really consider him a prospect, but if he's going to perform, then that's certainly helpful. And maybe he'll hit his way to Toledo at some point. But it's he's a lefty with some power, and it's nice to see him continue to go out and hit.
And so the Seawolves will hit the road to take on Somerset this week. That will be starting on Tuesday. Forgot to mention I should have mentioned this earlier about Toledo and what their next series is going to be, and I'll mention that here in just a second. But the Mud Hens, the other team will get to start we were the only team that started on the road, which is the West Michigan Whitecaps. But let's see here. So Toledo will be starting. I think they're going on I want to say they're going to St. Paul. I really think so. Double check.
They were going to Iowa, but
I think no, you're right. You're absolutely right. So that series kicks off on Tuesday as well, because Monday is the universal off day for all minor league baseball, which is fantastic. Yeah, they'll take on Iowa starting at 7:38, so a little later. Usually games start around 6:30, so it'll be a little later because of Central Time, what have you. So now we move on to West Michigan, and there's 2 debuts. Chris paid attention to Ty Madden's debut today. I went and focused on Tyler. It was yesterday we were drawing like, okay, I'll take West Michigan. Chris, you get Erie, and we're texting each other like nothing doing here in Erie right now.
It wasn't great on Saturday, but Sunday was fun.
Yeah, and the West Michigan. We'll get to the bats, because I thought of all the teams this weekend, I thought I was very encouraged by the West Michigan Whitecaps, because they were able. The Dodgers also have some really good studs in their system in High A, and they came out and handled them pretty well. I mean, they kicked off the weekend opening on Friday 5-1 victory as the bullpen shut it down. Parker Meadows with a home run, and overall pitching wise, you're looking at Guzman came out, and it was another thing we were like, oh yeah, Carlos. We were thinking about maybe doing opening day and going down the Midland, and then you go, Carlos Guzman's the start. Nah, we've already seen him. And it comes out.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, you were absolutely right. Like, it was mostly we wanted to see one of the new guys pitch, and that feels bad because you saw Carlos Guzman on Lakeland last year. I don't think I've ever actually seen him pitch in person, but he wasn't all.
Didn't you see him at West Michigan in 2019?
Maybe briefly. I know he was in Lakeland all of last year, I think. Hey, Dan Hasty.
Yeah, hey, Dan Hasty.
That's there. Wonder where he got all those stats.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like he calls the game or something. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know Guzman. Yeah, he was really good. It was nice to see, and as he said, that the other starters were just as good for the most part. Like you focused on Dylan Smith's outing. I don't know what you saw there.
As far as Dylan Smith goes, I thought he got ahead in the count early. He recovered really well after I think it was a home run he allowed. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I have it in my notes. My computer is now deciding today, hey, you know what? Hey, we're gonna run slow today. It's also been running really good.
I can talk about Time Madden if you want.
Okay. So I have it. So he recovered really well after that home run. He only pitched 3 innings, but I thought his off-speed stuff looked really good. His fastball he was commanding his fastball well. In terms of what Smith can provide, I think this is a guy who he looks like a starter. I mean, this is just one start, of course, but always kind of look at, okay, with prospects, there's a reliever or not, but I don't know. I thought Dylan Smith did a really good job with the secondary pitches and keeping the loon bats off balance. Overall, there was a piggyback thing. It was Jack O'Houlihan.
Jack O'Laughlin.
Yeah. Sort of well. And then this is a guy you mentioned and did a good highlight clip of, and that was reliever Gardenia.
Dario Gardea. Yeah, I think he 2 innings, 5 strikeouts, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's helpful.
Yeah. So. And the one thing I want to say about Smith, he was able to elevate his fastball and get some swings on that. So his fastball command, I think he was trying to feel for his slider a little bit, but overall, I thought that was an encouraging first start, and they were able to win a game. And that's a nice stat there by Mr. Hasty there. The combined whip from Guzman, Smith, and Madden, 0.40. And see, I feel bad. See, Dan Hasty this year is spoiled, and rightfully so, because last year, the West Michigan Whitecaps staff.
Well, hey, you know what? They ended up having some decent. Like Adam Wolf had put together a solid season. Yeah. Bergner and White came out of the bullpen. Briskey. Yeah, I mean, there's always. But yeah, they're more highly rated guys this year for sure.
He was spoiled on offense last year. Now he's spoiled on the pitching side, and offensively speaking too. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
Well, so I have to say that I was very encouraged by what I saw from Time Madden today. And people may remember around the draft, he was a guy who was ranked like 12th or 15th in most, the sites that do these sorts of things, and then fell all the way to the Tigers at the 32nd, 33rd pick, something like that, maybe below. And people are trying to figure out why. And then all the talk was like, hey, his fastball really gets hit hard when it's up in the zone, and it only plays down in the zone, and that's not how people play now. So I was like, is this going to work? And you can see I put it out on the TMLR Twitter account. I don't know if you saw it, Raj, where I compared his mechanics. The Tigers have altered his mechanics slightly. And you can see I've got a prop here. This is a Toledo Mud Hens baseball from the year 2014.
Nice.
I don't really need the baseball, but what they've done, I'll see if I do this. I don't know. People on the show or listening won't be able to see this, but basically he was. Who cares? We're gonna.
No.
That. But basically, I'm not gonna do the. I can do it from my chair anyway. So he was a guy who pitched basically right over the top, and to do that, he kind of tilted his spine back when he was throwing, and would come right over the top almost. And our buddy Brian Sikowski pointed that out when I put the videos next to each other. He said there's a lot less spine tilt now. So what the Tigers have done is, you can see the video right there. It's not synced up perfectly because he has now added in his windup. He's putting his glove above his head, which he didn't do before. And you can see,
saying, yeah.
On the right video, he's tilting more to the left, and his arm basically comes right over the top toward the zone.
Is it just me, Chris? By the way, is he rocking back more at Texas versus when he's here?
No, that's exactly what Sikowski was talking about. That's his spine tilt. His
okay, that's what spine tilt is.
Okay. Backward, and the arm is coming right over top. And the Tigers have changed that, and he's now a little bit more direct, and his arm slot has dropped a little bit. It's still kind of a high 3/4, but it's not directly over the top. And the result of that is his fastball was playing really well up in the zone today. Like he got a lot of swings and misses up with the fastball, which was supposed to be his big weakness. and he was sitting 92 to 98 with the fastball. And some of the ones, I don't know if he's throwing four-seamer or two-seamer. Dan would know this better. Some of them had really good life up through the zone, like kind of exploding two-seamers. Now, early on, it looked like this change was to the detriment of his breaking ball. His breaking ball was really good in college. It was a filthy slider, and I've compared it almost to like a splitter at times because of that over-the-top delivery. He would break kind of straight down, and batters would swing over it. And the first few breaking balls he threw today were ugly. They were like hangers, and in fact, he gave up a home run to the first batter he faced on a hanging breaking ball. And so they kind of stayed like that for a few innings. And then in the fourth inning, he came out and threw 5 straight breaking balls, and they were all really good. It was like, oh, all right, he figured it out. And those were like, the first one registered at 68 miles an hour, and I don't believe that. It was like a big, it was a lollipop breaking ball, but I don't think it was that slow. And the other 4 were like 81 to 85 and hard. And I think he might have thrown like 7 pitches in the fourth inning. And he also broke out a changeup. I saw one changeup. Maybe he threw 2, but it was nice. There you go. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, so that one, I don't remember that being a particularly good breaking ball, the one that Dan's talking about, but maybe I'm mistaken. That's another video that I'll be putting up. I've got it all clipped, so we'll be putting it up. But yeah, so he basically got the breaking ball later, and he had the changeup. Like I said, only one of them, I think. But it was 84 miles an hour, so good separation with fastball. Seemed to have some nice fade. I don't know. Like, I was really encouraged. I think people should probably be pretty excited about Ty Madden. If his fastball is going to play like that and the breaking ball comes back to him that quickly, I think he's going to move really quickly. So, yeah, they might have nailed that pick.
Definitely. And there's one thing about, I know that I asked Dan about the radar gun over there in Midland. He said it is kind of hot. So let me put up. I should have done this in the first place. I don't know why I didn't, but I wanted to put up Dylan Smith's first start, because I separated the clips because I should have just put it all together, and I didn't for whatever unknown reason.
You had a busy weekend.
Yeah, I did. It was but still, I love doing video. I love doing videos. Chris, you did a hell of a job today, man. Seriously.
I did. All I had to do was ignore my 8-year-old.
Did he have a mustache on again?
No, he ended up going to grandma's.
Oh, okay. But,
an awesome Winslow Perez play that sometimes the camera work up there at Midland's not the greatest.
Yeah. I do like their broadcasting team, though, because they make some really good jokes during that. Yeah, and see that curve right there.
I mean, it's a hard curve, I think. Yeah. You might call it a slider, although I think he throws a slider at like 85, 86 too. So that's definitely a hard curve. Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 I don't remember seeing any changeups, but the fastball's low to mid 90s, good athletic delivery, repeats well, breaking balls.
He's throwing strike. I mean, came out throwing strikes too. Very efficient with his pitches, and there you go. It's just that's what one of the biggest things I liked about his start too, Chris, is that he's a quick worker and goes back in there with his mechanics. Just kind of like I said, I love kids that can quickly work when they're pitching, so it just makes it a lot easier. But I thought it has some good tailing action to it.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got a good arm, and like I said, it's an athletic delivery. That what? But I mean, one of the things that appeals about Dylan Smith is he still seems like he's got room to grow. He's got room to add some more weight and theoretically more velocity. So, but even if he doesn't, he looked pretty good right now. So, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty darn good draft haul just with those 2 there. And
by the way, we're going to be going to West Michigan's home opener on Tuesday. So there'll be a pregame show and a postgame show. So that's my goals. I want to go out there. And if we're lucky, I don't know, Dan might know this or not if he's still listening, that we'll get to see Wilmer Flores.
Well, like you said, I think it's either going to be Flores or Kidder Montero, and either way, we're going to see some good breaking balls, I think. So
yeah,
it'll be all right. We didn't. I mean, you touched on Parker Meadows, but I did want to talk a little bit about the Whitecaps offense this weekend too, because it was pretty good. Austin Murr is too good for high A, I think. I mean, we talked about it. I thought he might start the year in Double A.
So Montero is Dan is confirming in our on Facebook that is Montero on Tuesday.
All right. Well,
thank you, Dan.
So Austin Murr 6 for 10 this weekend with 4 walks and 1 strikeout. Is that right? 3 walks and a strikeout, something like that. 4 walks and a strikeout, 2 doubles. He's got a big league approach. He's got big league bat to ball skills. The only concern with him is because he's a first baseman / corner outfielder that he needs to hit for more power, and we still haven't seen it over the fence. But a couple doubles will be fine. And if he's going to hit 600 with an on base percentage of 1 billion, I think it'll be okay. So I think he may. Again, it's only been 3 games, so who knows? But I think he may move up to AA pretty quickly this year. He may pull a Lipsius. Lipsius was there for 3 weeks last year, and then went up to AA. So that's good. And you mentioned Parker Meadows, and I will say Parker Meadows only had 3 hits this weekend. One of them was a bunt, and 2 of them were home runs. But we kept hearing chatter about him looking better in spring, and he got a couple appearances in big league camp and hit the ball hard. And I think it's real. I don't want to get too crazy there. And again, this is like his 3rd go round in West Michigan, although one of them was at low A. But the quality of contact seems to be much better. He almost hit a home run earlier today before actually going deep. And so I think that's a promising development there. And then Colt Keith, I want to say started off like 0 for 5, 0 for 6, but he's got a pair of doubles and a triple. And he almost hit a grand slam today to the opposite field. He missed it by a foot or 2. We put that clip up there. So yeah. That's good to see. He's hitting the ball hard. And I don't know if it was today or yesterday, he smoked a ball, but it was right at the center fielder. So, yeah, I think it's been fun. And Eliezer Alfonso hit a home run today after – I think we talked about it. He was up in West Michigan twice last year and never hit – I don't think he hit a home run until the final at bat of the year, and it might have been off a pitcher, I want to say. Second game this year, and he goes deep. So that's nice to see because he's a guy that we root for because he's got some good offensive skills. So I don't know. It's been fun watching that offense so far, and hopefully they'll bring it with them back home. Andrew Navigado has been putting up good stats too. So Trey Cruz.
Yeah, I was so pumped about Trey Cruz doing well. Oh, who pulled his hammy? Ooh.
I don't know. Who pulled the
hammy on YouTube?
Cruz had a double from Alfonso pulled a hammy. That's a bummer. Yeah. Trey Cruz had a double from the right side and a double from the left side, so that was good to see. So I don't know, been a fun weekend there for the Whitecaps. Thanks, Michael. Sorry, I didn't win.
Michael. Yeah, much appreciated, Michael. Murr's just pick up where we saw him left off last year. I thought we saw him in Lansing. Had a really good series there, he showed really good patience at the plate. I know that Uper's a big fan of him because of where he played college ball at, but I don't the fact that you can come in to West Michigan like that after spending a little bit of time and adjusting so well last year, and it continues this year. It kind of shows that it's not just a fly by night kind of thing. And so, especially maybe that's why they signed what's the guy's name? Quincy
Nieporte.
So if Nieporte ends up going to AAA at some point, you could easily see Murr going to Erie. And if he continues to do well there, who knows? Because Dane Myers also used in the outfield. He played left field, so Meyer can play anywhere.
I love Dane Myers. His batting stats reminds me of like Chris Davis.
Yeah,
Chris with a K. He kind of stands straight up and he kicks his leg out like out over the plate and then swings swings from his ass, as they say. And he hit a home run the other day. So yeah, I don't know. He's a good quality power bat to have in any lineup. I don't know if we want to finish up with Lakeland.
Yeah, let's finish up with Lakeland.
So yeah, they just went 1-2 this weekend, but some really exciting young players on that team and some impressive starts for a couple of them. And also we had a couple rehab outings down there. I posted it the other day. They had Willie Peralta go for 2 innings. Then Alex Fido came behind him for 3 innings, and they both pitched really well. And we imagine they'll be moving up pretty quickly. But today was the return of Wilkel Hernandez, who hasn't pitched since late August of 2019. And I don't remember what year it was. He was the guy who had the velocity increase in spring camp, or it was instructional league, I think. And then, yeah, sure enough, he blew out his arm after that. And then, the COVID year. So he hasn't pitched in forever. But he went out there and put together a pretty strong start today. It was only 2 2/3 innings, but I think he only gave up one unearned run. And 56 pitches, 11 swings and misses, 8 on the fastball that got up to 95 and a half. So, yeah, just good to see him back on the mound, and hoping that he can get back on track, because it's kind of funny, he and Elvin Rodriguez both came to the Tigers the same summer from the Angels, and they both had some promise. And for a while there, I thought Wilkel was more promising than Elvin Rodriguez, and Elvin Rodriguez made his debut with the Detroit Tigers today, something that I did not expect. And he actually shut down the White Sox for 2 innings before, kind of going off the rails there in the third. But
yeah, but to be fair, though, I think
I wouldn't blame that on him. That's asking him to get 9 outs against big league hitters is a bit much. But that's early in the season. That's what's going to happen.
We did see Jack Anderson, who pitched at Florida State, make his Lakeland debut. So that was good to see. He pitched today, scored a inning of relief, pair of strikeouts. As the relief corps is again going to be a long year for that relief corps down in Lakeland. You can look at the offense. Santana today had a pair of hits. Manuel Sequeira, another hit. Pacheco also had a pair of hits as well. And I think one of the encouraging lines there was the play of Chris Myers from the University of Toledo, and we got quite a bit of pop on there on Twitter when you tweeted, even though we had no video. But it was good to see this first baseman get some pop there.
Yeah, I think didn't he win the MAC Triple Crown last year before the Tigers drafted him, or he was Player of the Year? So
champion, I believe, or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, he had a rough pro debut last year, so it's nice to see him start off hot. But you would expect a college kid to kind of take the A ball of the woodshed, and now that he's doing it, it's good. Yeah, he crushed a ball, 115 plus miles an hour for a home run the other day. But that was the thing about Santana's hit today. He had the longest hit of the game, 407 feet, 108 plus miles an hour off the bat. He doesn't turn 19 until like Thanksgiving. He's an 18-year-old. The Tigers do not send 18-year-old kids to low A full season ball very often at all.
Yeah.
I think, the Riley Green, I don't know if he was still 18 at the time, but he made it up to West Michigan in 2019, right? And before that, it was like Willie Adames and Domingo Leyba. So you're going back 8-9 years. So yeah, this Santana, he's got 5 hits already in 3 games. He looks like he could be the real deal, which would be very nice. As we've discussed many, many times, the Tigers don't have a great track record in the international market. Roberto Campos is off to a decent start, 4 hits, not any power to speak of yet. 1 double, but
he's hit safely in every game, so you can take solace in that.
No, and we saw him briefly in spring training. He hit the home run, on the one opposite field home run. So it's like, oh, okay, that power is legit. And then we got to see him show off his arm, which looks like an easy plus arm too. So the prototypical right field tools are there. He just needs to learn how to hit throughout the minors. And so good start. And you mentioned Pacheco. He's off to a solid start, 3 for 11, a couple of walks and a double. So yeah, that's one of the most exciting lineups in the organization, just because of all the young talent there. So we'll be keeping an eye on them for sure.
Look at him. I am Cuban and I'm 18 years old and I am already in low A. Oh, nice. Michael Mayer coming through with a clutch, letting us know that there's 2 teams now in the FSL that have
the Mets,
TV.
Right?
Yep.
Well, let's check out that Lakeland schedule to see when they're playing at St. Lucie.
By the way, I will be in Lakeland. I'm trying to confirm everything right now with friend of the show, Tiger Minor League Tracker, but I'm looking to hopefully go to Lakeland June 1st through the 3rd. So I'll be down for when Bradenton comes into town. Bradenton
are at Bradenton starting on Tuesday, so we'll be able to get video of them all week, which is fun. And then at St. Lucie, the second week of May, so more video then. So, hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then 9 more. Oh, they're at Bradenton again. In what month is it? In July.
What's going to be about Lakeland this year is that I'll have better camera equipment and all that down there. So I'm looking forward to hopefully the rain rates off, or hopefully it holds off rather. when I go down there. Hopefully, Chris, if you can make it, if you can't, like I said, I'll try to get as much video as I go down there, because it becomes almost a necessity at some point to head down there at least once. And it could be a ongoing thing going forward, but nevertheless, we'll be out there on Tuesday for opening day for the Whitecaps as they kick off the season at home. And I'm now drawing a blank on who they're playing. Wow.
They're playing the Lugnuts, I believe.
Yeah, it's the Lugnuts. Okay. My apologies. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to, we'll see Wilmer Flores this week at some point, probably hopefully Wednesday or Thursday, pitch for the Whitecaps. Another thing I'm looking forward to in double A rather too is we can see maybe how Dingler starts warming up the bat a little bit. You saw the home run today, the offense.
Center, so that was nice.
And well, Chris, what are you looking forward to this week for week 2?
I'm looking forward to the off day tomorrow. It's nice not having to monitor like 5 games or whatever. Try to watch the Tigers in 4 minor league games, but no, I think the Tigers have a lot of exciting players at every level now. I'd like. Hey, Jordan Marks too. All right,
nice.
He originally I guess he was there for on the original roster. So Jordan Marks was the 7th round draft pick last year, maybe 8th out of North Carolina or South Carolina upstate, I want to say. I think he's a native of Sarnia. Does that sound right? That's right. So yeah, excited to see him pitch too. I think that he could be a sleeper in the draft class. We saw Brent Herter pitch for Lakeland the other day, the lefty, another pitcher from the class. So yeah, that should be fun. There's a lot of talent at just about every level this year. You could argue that Toledo is the least exciting with just basically Kreidler and Briskey, but then you've also got
Clemens, people.
Yeah, but I'm saying you got a bunch of dudes on the 40-man up there too. Daz Cameron, Willie Castro, Zach Short, Cody Clemens. There's there's going to be pretty uncommon for me to go and look at a day of Tigers minor league action and go, there's nothing fun going on today. Like they got interesting starting pitching at every level, interesting hitters at every level. So yeah, it should be a fun year. I mean, we don't have Torkelson anymore, but Tigers fans are okay with that because they get to see him every day. And also, he's been getting angrier at the major league level than I've ever seen him in the minors. I don't remember him having any kind of outbursts like that at the minors, dude.
Because he's getting squeezed. Some of the calls this weekend were atrocious. I take the fan part of me out of this for a second. Look at it objectively. When you watch that on Bally Sports and some of the calls he wasn't getting on the outside corner, that's just he's a rookie. But come on. No.
Well, I mean, I felt like Akil Baddoo went through the same thing last year where you remember that first month. I feel like he was hitting for power, and then we saw him walk a ton, right, in spring training, and then I don't remember him walking much at all in the first month of the season last year. And eventually, the umps learned that, like, hey, this guy's got a really good eye, and so I think they started giving him the benefit of the doubt. And sometimes he would get strikes that were called balls against him. And I bet we see the same sort of thing with Torkelson down the road. I also think that, it's cold out there and umps are like, yeah, it's a strike. Let's go. So I think he'll be fine. Torkelson, he's pressing a little bit like any rookie would in his first. I'm sure he wanted to get a hit because his parents were in town, and he'll be fine. And it's just a bummer that Riley Green wasn't there with him because I feel like Riley Green probably would have had a handful of hits this weekend. Maybe I'm putting too much pressure on Riley Green, but I think he's amazing. So
no, and also the Bally Sports kept cutting to his parents, and it was like, guys, enough. His parents are in attendance. I get it, but enough. They do that with Stu
too, and I don't know if you saw the home run from Jeremy Pena of the Astros. They were interviewing his parents, and he had a home run, and it was great.
Oh, I missed that part. No,
that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping for like a viral moment where they're interviewing the parents and the home run, and they get to share them, and everybody cries, and that's good. But
okay, well, then I get that, but still, it's just a little. I don't know. I just thought that was a little overkill. But one thing I will say about the Tigers before we get out of here: more Jack White on commentary, please. I finally found a clip of it, listened to it. I mean, his national anthem with the guitar is fantastic, but. Jack White is a guest I've always wanted. Like, if there's some way we could have Jack White on the podcast just once, and I'm not going to ask him about his music. I'm just going to ask him, like, look, how was your Sunday baseball games in your backyard? I heard you play baseball in your backyard. how cool was that? And I mean, of course, I would ask him maybe one question about his music, but mainly it'd be about baseball.
I wouldn't really be able to. I know I don't know enough about his music. I mean, I know the popular songs or whatever, and I know some like the Rock on Tours, but I wouldn't be able to like, hey, so what about this and that? But yeah, I mean, I talked to him about baseball, and he seemed like he really just wanted to talk about baseball when he was in the booth. You know, he got his old like magazines. It's like, look at this. Hey, remember when the Tigers would beat the teams and they'd show that icon? I want to see that again. Like, he's definitely just a big Tiger fan.
Yeah, definitely. He had a really awesome retro jacket on during the national anthem, and there would be one question I would ask him musically, and there was an interview. It was like the series he did with it was Bono. It was not Bono, The Edge. Still stupid name. The Edge from U2, Jimmy Page, and there was somebody else. I forgot who else. And it was Jimmy Page asked him, was like, "Who else is in your band?" And Jack was like, I'm paraphrasing. He's like, I'm playing both bass and guitar. You would think that Jimmy Page, a renowned studio musician who has played for one of the biggest bands in the world, would recognize that, and he didn't. Man. So, yeah, I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, it all happens.
We were down at Comerica on Thursday for the warm up, or we got to sit there as everybody interviewed AJ Hinch and got to see some batting practice and stuff from the Tigers. And I texted my wife, Tara, that Jack White was there. And all she wrote was, "Tell him I want my damn desk." And I was like, what? And she reminded me that one time she found a desk online that she loved. It was like a mid-century desk or whatever. And she tried to buy it and they agreed to it. And then Jack White swooped in and took it from her. He got it before her. They're like, "Oh, I got to sell it to Jack White." And she was like, I want that desk. So if Jack White listens to this, come on the podcast, and you don't have to give us the desk.
Yeah, just talk baseball. We won't. Seriously, I would not. I just want to talk about baseball. That's all I would do. And I sound like a fanboy right now, but I don't really care, honestly. So, thanks for listening to the Tiger Man Report. Join us on Tuesday for the opening day at West Michigan, as we'll be traveling out there, and we'll probably do a little bit of a pregame show, maybe, and of course the classic postgame show, which is now almost kind of like becoming a thing where people are like, "Where's the postgame show?" And I will be joining the Woodward Morning Show tomorrow morning at 8:30, as we'll be talking Tigers. So if you want to,
do they? Okay, so sorry. There are other shows called Big D Energy, right?
There's Big D Energy. There's a Morning Wood.
Is it Morning Woodward?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that we're keeping with the phallic references. Carry on.
Yeah. So I'll be on there talking about the Tigers, and tomorrow I'll be going there officially at 4:00, and there'll be a lot of announcements tomorrow in the afternoon. So about everything and how things will shape up going forward. But the Tiger Man Report continues on. Thank you for everybody, by the way. It is, what's today's date? The April 10th. April 10th. And in the last day and a half, I'm not kidding, we've gained over 325 followers on Twitter. So thank you. And thank you for everybody who checked out the YouTube stuff, content ideas that helped out earlier. A couple weeks ago, we asked what kind of content you wanted. You wanted more player breakdowns. We're giving you those. We're giving you more of not just the highlights. Even if a player struggles, we were going to give you the whole thing. So yeah, 300. The goal for 10,000 followers, and the goal, and really another couple Patreon people, if you want to join our Patreon, patreon.com/Tigers Minor League Report. So myself, I'm Rogelio. Alongside me is Chris Brown. We'll see you next week. We'll do week 2. Every week there'll be a podcast. Hopefully Jake will be joining us next week. And we'll see you Tuesday. Have a good week, everybody.